Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Raiken Profit over at RaikenProfit.com, coming back to you with another video. And today we have a really cool story that you guys are going to want to stay tuned in for. I am here with my friend Jerry Ballup, and Jerry and I have known each other for probably 3 or 4 years now. I still remember meeting him. I think we were in, I want to say it was either Vegas or Miami. I don't remember, but you were with your mom, and I had heard about your story, and you were doing retail arbitrage. I think at the time you were doing like 20 grand a month or something. You could correct me if I'm wrong once we jump in, but
right around there.
yeah. He's actually a member of the green room. We've known each other. We've met up a couple times, and actually got to go see his mom's warehouse and get to just learn more about Jerry and like the business, the family business and stuff. But yeah, Jerry's on the show because he went from literally, doing retail arbitrage, thrifting. I think you've even done OA to now running a wholesale business. 75 to 85% of his sales come from wholesale right now, I believe. And he did around $300,000 sales in Q4, mostly from wholesale. So it's really cool to just kind of introduce Jerry and hear his story. And like, I'm not even 100% up to date with all the things that are going on with him. So that's a little intro, but this is going to be fun. What's going on, Jerry?
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Doing fantastic, man. Like I was saying before the show, I thought Bonafide Hustler came on the video. You guys are looking very similar with the long hair.
Nah, he's got trash hair, doesn't get any sales. I got better hair and better sales.
Dude, so it's great to have you on the show, man. 20 years old, Jerry Ballup. What's been going on, man? How in the world did you get into wholesale? Maybe you want to tell a little bit about your story and how you got started and just the transition, because when you told me your sales, I was really impressed, man. I didn't know you came that far.
Yeah, so like many other people, I started with thrifting and going to garage sales, then started doing RA. And at a certain point, I was like, oh, I keep hearing about wholesale on these trade shows. Let me check it out. So during my senior year of high school, I decided to skip a whole week of school and just fly to Vegas. And from there, I just started dipping my toes in and learning how the process goes to now just being around 75, 80% wholesale items in my inventory.
Wow. And how are you getting your wholesale items? Because there's a lot of different models that people go about. There's people who buy lists. There's people who do reverse sourcing, build relationships with brands. There's trade shows, ASD. There's so many different models. What specifically, when you talk about wholesale, what's your style or your model?
My main style is a lot more riskier than other types of wholesale, which is doing buyouts. So I'll go to trade shows. I'll meet the different distributors for items. And if they have a good item, I'll say, oh, okay, what's the pricing? Oh, maybe $15 an item. What's the pricing if I buy everything, which may be a couple hundred units to a couple thousand units. And from there, it'll give me better pricing, and I'll be the only seller on the listing because of that.
Interesting. So what type of products are you typically looking for? When you're walking around, what catches Jerry's eye? What's something that you see and you're like, okay, this is an opportunity?
Because of my experience with RA, there's certain items I'll see that, hey, I haven't seen this on the Target shelves in over 12 months, but this distributor still has 1,000 left. That'll be one of the things that pops out in my mind. Other items is if they let you touch the products, you can sometimes see the manufacture date on the bottom. And if it's more than 2 or 3 years old, I know that's a discontinued item by then. And from there, that's when I start talking. So for me, rank doesn't really matter as much as the competition and what's the selling price.
Interesting. Okay. And is that the only type of wholesale that you're doing, is the buyouts, or are you doing any other types?
I don't know, buyouts, that's the stuff I do to maintain my sales for a long time, but I also do smaller purchase quantities for testing the market and others that have more competition on the item.
Okay, cool. And I think what's cool, Jerry was saying before the show, is you actually brought a couple of products on, some wholesale products that were, and this isn't going to be like a lot of YouTube videos you watch and like the people share like only the wins. You're actually going to share some losers too, right?
Yeah, there's winners and losers, and I'm sold out of everything. So, and either discontinued, so there's not really any competition left. So just keep your eyes peeled at the thrifts. All right, so here's one winner from fourth quarter. Captain America motorcycle toy. I think it pulls back and it launches the little shields and everything. This was interesting because I visited one of my wholesalers over Q4. So imagine just two Costco-sized warehouses just filled with pallets and pallets of items. And
Wow.
he literally told me after he gave me a small tour, he's okay, you can walk around, pick whatever you want. If it looks good, we'll talk pricing, and from there you can decide what to do.
Wow. So you
So
saw
I was
that
like,
item sitting there. How many were there?
this was an older item of his, so he didn't really have much left, but it was around 75 units. So he was like, I'll just take everything left. And I was checking the Amazon price. It was around $60, lowest FBA, but the rank was terrible, 300,000. And he told me, I'll just take them $18 a unit, take them all, and from there you can play around with pricing and add clicks and everything. And from there, I sold every unit during Q4, and the one I have on me is a return, so it's all good.
What did you do to get the sales going? Were you just relying on the strength of Q4? And for the people watching right now, if you're not sure what we mean by Q4, that's the fourth quarter, October, November, December. You know, those months are notoriously known to speed up in sales velocity. So were you running any like pay per click, or were you lowering the price? Did you improve the listing, or what did you do to get those things to sell? Because 300,000 is not bad, but it's probably only selling every here, now and then.
Yeah, 300,000 rank during off season maybe sells 3 to 4 times a month, but during Q4 it'll probably bump up. But what I noticed was the selling price was $60-$70, so I lowered it down to 50, and from there I started selling maybe one or two a day. And of course, that was a couple of weeks before Black Friday. After Black Friday hits, I was selling 5, 6 a day. And when I
Oh,
had my
wow.
last 20 units, I bumped up price and they're still selling.
Wow. Interesting. Cool. So that's definitely a win right there. And you were probably
Yeah.
profiting, I'm assuming, at 50, 18, probably around like $15, $20.
Yeah, $15 a unit, more or less.
Okay. Nice. So there is winner number one. What do we have up next for a
All
wholesale
right.
product?
This one's another winner. This was at one of the trade shows I went to, a Tron Legacy Light Cycle, which was which character? Clue. This one was $5 a unit. So for me, anything that's $5, kind of hard to lose money on. Rank was terrible too. I bought this during off season last year, so this was during March, April. I only bought maybe 30 units, and yeah, I was selling one every week or so, but I was profiting maybe $11 to $12 a unit, so it wasn't that bad.
Hey, for something like that with a slower rank, are you shipping? I know you only had 30 units. Are you shipping them all in at once, or are you sending in a couple at a time typically?
If it's something that's around 30 units, I'll send them all in just to have some free space around here. But if it's a slower moving item and I have a couple hundred, I'll send in maybe 30, 60 at a time and hold on, which is
Cool.
similar to a buyout I did last year. Bought 600 of an item.
600.
Yeah, not that fast of a seller, but the profits are pretty good. But now I'm the only seller left on the listing and been selling 1 to 5 a day.
Wow.
And but that
What
one
were
I
you?
can't share just yet.
Can you share maybe what you bought it for, or what you're selling it for?
Buy cost was 12. When I was first to market, I was selling them for $40. Then the other sellers started coming in, so then from 40 to 35, 35 to 30, then to around 25, and it maintained that way for a couple months. And then once those guys sold out, I was the last guy left, and now it's selling at $30 all day.
Wow. That's really cool, man. Are you using Keepa charts or Camo when you're analyzing these deals? Are you, like, for example, I do a lot of e-flip, and during the textbook season, off season, I'll be buying based on the charts and then sending them in for textbook season. Are you doing the same thing? Or are you going more based on gut, just knowing the brand, knowing that Q4 it's just going to spike, or do you have to see like a trend?
For me, Keepa's one factor if there's competition on the item. If there's no competition, I'll go with my gut, especially if I know the brand. Like if it's a Lego item, I'll buy it all day, which I've had success with several wholesale Lego lots, but those don't really come around often. But then there was a recent one, which I consider a loser now, but a winner long term. Spent around 23,000 on 1,500 Lego sets. I thought I'd be the only guy selling it. Turns out my wholesaler didn't get the full amount that was sold. And I guess whoever sold him that 1,500 also sold around 800 to other people. And now they're on the listing, which of course they got a cheaper price. And right now it's break even. So I have to sit on those for a while.
So would you say for someone who's new to wholesale and they're going the buyout method like you're doing, trade shows, would you rather go deep or would you go wide? And what I mean by that for the people watching is if you had $1,000, would you rather spend it all on one product or would you rather diversify and go with 5 or 10 products to go a little more wide and lower your risk?
If you definitely have less than 5K in capital, I'd definitely go wider than deeper. Just because if you buy this one item, the wholesaler tells you there's 1,000 left, you buy 1,000. The wholesalers almost never give you the true quantity they have on hand. So they probably have another 500 they'll give to a person they have a better relationship with and at a cheaper rate. And maybe that guy wants to tank the listings so that you'll lose money, but he's still making money. So it's better maybe to test order with 10, 20 units of every item. And if it's selling good, just go ahead and make the reorder.
Awesome. Great advice, Jerry. What else we working with, man? I know you got a couple more things.
Yeah, this is one of my losers, which thank goodness during Q4 I sold out of. Marvel Legends, I believe it's the larger series of figures for Captain America. This one buy cost was around $24.50. And at the time, it looked good because this figure was selling for $50. So I was like, oh, I'll make a $10 guaranteed profit. And it was one of those situations where the wholesaler didn't give me the true quantity he had on hand. And at the same time, I did a small test order. So I was stuck with 50 units. I was hoping the price would go up, but during Q4, I saw it wasn't going up. So I was like, all right, I'll sell it at a loss, but at least I'm getting my money back.
Interesting. Okay. Now, how do you know that there's not other wholesalers who have units? Because, they might be telling you the truth, but who's to say there's not another wholesale on the other side of the country with another batch of that product?
Yeah, it's always a thing of these kind of closeout type buyout deals. Whoever they're buying them from, like usually if the Marvel figures or other toys, they're buying them directly from Target or Walmart, like they're overstock. Some wholesalers will work closely with these companies to make sure they're getting everything on hand. But like always, these companies will say, oh, we have 2,000 on hand when they really have 4,000 or more.
Okay.
Like even my favorite wholesaler, he's had problems with that in the past, spending over $500,000 on a product just so he can have everything on hand. And the manufacturer had that same amount he sold them. They still had that same amount on hand selling to retailers. So he's been sitting on that item for like 2 years now.
So there's definitely some pros and cons to your specific model. I've been interviewing and talking with quite a few other wholesale sellers who are, in the wholesale formula program or other people who are running this model. Why did you choose to do this model, like purchasing buyouts versus building relationships and getting exclusives and kind of going that route? Because I know you're familiar with Dan and Eric and the wholesale formula model. Any pros and cons or any reasons why you chose your model? Because there's always more than one way to skin a cat. I'm not here to say theirs is better or yours is better or worse or whatever, but I'm just kind of curious what your mindset is on that.
I know mine's definitely more risk and more capital involved, but if you have the space, time, and money, definitely do it. This method I prefer because I can spend a certain amount because I look more at the cost of a buyout than the costs for every order. So if a buyout only costs me $8,000 to $10,000, I consider that pretty cheap, and I'll buy it. And then from there, I have inventory to last me a couple months on end. Versus some other wholesalers where you do smaller quantities every month. They'll respond, but they're not going to give you highest priority because you're not the one spending the most.
Interesting. What would you say are the biggest mistakes or challenges that you faced getting into wholesale? And maybe some advice for the people that are watching right now who want to go with your model of wholesale.
All right. So tips for wholesale, I'd say go to as many trade shows as possible. Just walk around, just get the experience. It doesn't matter if you make a buy or not. Second is learning how to approach these wholesalers, because at many trade shows they'll say no Amazon sellers. A lot of times I'll go and I'll ask them why. They're like, oh, it's MAP pricing you're breaking, or we just don't like how all the products crash in price because of Amazon sellers. From there, you can talk with them, see if maybe they can give you exclusivity, or maybe they'll give you a condition, oh, you have to buy a certain amount, minimum order of every item. And then for buyout situations, I'd say definitely have cash, time, and space on your hand, because that's one of the harder aspects of the way I do it. There's times where I've lost a lot of money, times I made a lot of money, and I'm still sitting on tons of products right now that I slowly sell off over time.
How do you deal with restrictions with buyouts? Are you getting ungated? Well, let me take a step back. Are you getting invoices from these wholesalers when you do the buyouts to get ungated from Amazon?
Most of the time I'm not really gated on any products. And even so, even if I'm gated, I usually get auto ungated because of my sales history of Amazon. And these wholesalers, they'll always give me an invoice. So I always have proof of purchase on hand, no matter what.
Yeah, because that's definitely one of the benefits of doing wholesale, Jerry, is because a lot of people, I know you have a seasoned account. I have a seasoned account as well, but I still deal with, because I don't do the volume that you're doing. But especially the new people who are watching now, who are wanting to get started, they're going to be facing so many restrictions. So what's the process for getting ungated? Do you, when you get these deals and you get the invoice, do you just reach out to Amazon and then they ungate you because you have the manufacturer invoice, like permission?
All right. The Marvel item I showed you, let's say shows up restricted. I'll look up the ASIN under add a product on Amazon Seller Central. You type in the ASIN, it'll pop up the product. It says you cannot sell this item in new condition. There's usually a button to find out more or apply now. You click that, and if you have a good sales history of Amazon, most of the time they'll auto ungate you, because based on your sales history, they'll approve you. Or if it's a certain brand restriction, like they want actual invoices, they'll then tell you, you can sell this item, but please provide us with an invoice showing purchase of at least 10 or more units, or a letter from the manufacturer. And that's usually where I just back off, because I don't want to spend money to spend a couple hundred to have the product just to find out that Amazon says you can't sell it.
Right. Got it. Okay, cool. Now I want to dive a little deeper into what you said when you were giving out some wholesale tips about knowing the correct way to approach the vendors, right? When you're at a trade show, whether that's ASD. And I thought that was great advice as well, Jerry, where you said, just go look around, get acquainted, get a feel for it, because you're going to get more and more comfortable. But let's go through a scenario. Let's just say that I'm here and I'm selling a bunch of, let's say I got a bunch of books. I doubt that you do books, but maybe you do. And you're interested. Let's just pretend I got a whole stack of things behind me right now. I'm behind my booth, la-di-da-di-da, having a good old time. How are you going to approach me? Let's go through a scenario.
All right. So one thing I usually take to my advantage over others in trade shows is I'll go to ASD. I plan on going to other trade shows this year as well. I see people dressed in t-shirts and shorts. Like, I get it that ASD's in Las Vegas and it's hot, but when you're dressing in t-shirts and shorts, you're not giving off that professional vibe. So you just look like some random Joe Schmo selling stuff out of his garage versus what you want to look like an executive that's in charge of selling tons of products at a time. So I'll go dressed in a suit, a tie, dress shoes, and I'll walk up to these guys, like extend my hand, say, hello, I'm Jerry from my company. I'm interested in your product. And they'll say, okay. And usually they'll ask, oh, how do you sell? Do you have a store? Do you sell online, your website? And I'll tell them, yes, I sell online. Amazon's one of my venues. It helps me move a lot of volume at a time. So I can see that it can be beneficial for both of us, that I can buy large quantities and you can move large quantities. And then from there, if they tell me to back off, I'll back off. Or if they find it nice, then we'll talk and discuss pricing.
What are some good signs that they're interested? Like, what are some of the things that they might say? Like, they won't be opposed to Amazon, or there's certain questions they'll start asking you where you're starting to like realize, okay, I think I got a live one.
All right. If they're opposed to Amazon, but they're willing to sell to a few sellers, they'll usually say, okay, I can sell it to you, but you have to buy a large amount. Mostly because if they have 1,000 of a toy and 20 different Amazon sellers pass by their booth and buy the same amount, but only buying 20, 30 of each, the price will eventually fall down
Yeah.
and make it so it's not even profitable. So what they'd rather do is maybe sell off that 1,000 to maybe 3, 4 at most different people. So in that way we have a somewhat control of the price. And then since we see that it was selling good at a good price, we'd come back to that same wholesaler to buy more.
Interesting. So once you build a deal and you put a deal in place and you figure out how many you're buying, the price and all of that, what's the actual process of, do you just give them the cash right there and then they bring you, like at a trade show, is the inventory all in the booth, or is it like in there? Do they have like a truck that's in the parking lot? Like what's this whole process like?
Nah, this isn't El
Like Breaking
Chapo that we
Bad.
just show up with a briefcase of cash.
Hey man, you're dressed in a suit, man. You know, that was a good tip because most people are dressed like with Tommy Bahamas and like they're just chilling. And I remember, I think last time I saw you, you were dressed up in a suit as well.
Yeah, I always go dressed up. If I'm not wearing a suit, I'm at least wearing a button up because presentation is key to these trade shows.
So what's the process for getting the item and stuff?
All right, so like I showed you, like there's a good toy I liked. The guy has 1,000 on hand. I want to buy 500. So I'll be like, okay, I want to buy 500 of this item. And there's some other items that catch my eye, but let's work on pricing. So we'll work out our deal. So let's say in total I'm spending maybe 10,000 with them. We'll work out my shipping information, see if it's cheaper to send by pallet or just standard ground mail to me. And once we have that figured out, I give them my credit card info. They write down a little sheet, and some of them will charge directly at the show. Others will go back to their warehouses at the end of the show and then process orders by highest order amounts first, and then tell you what the actual amount they charge on your card is.
Do you have to be worried about them not keeping up their end of the deal? For example, it's very common when you order from a supplier or a manufacturer in China, when you're doing private label, a lot of times you'll hire like an inspection company and they'll make sure that everything is up to standards. How do you know that when you receive your order from this wholesaler that you've never put a deal together with before in the past, that the products aren't going to be damaged, opened, returns? Do you do any type of due diligence or research on the company before placing a big order?
Well, you can tell by the face of the company if they're selling liquidations, like shelf pulls and returns, versus they're selling new case-packed items. Like liquidation companies, they'll tell you straight up, oh, we're liquidation, we're shelf pulls, we're returns. The items will come damaged, but we're giving it to you really cheap. Versus an actual wholesaler will be, all right, you can buy this item. There's 6 per case. They come in cardboard cases. And if you buy, let's say, 100 cases, they're coming on 2 pallets to your place. So once they're palletized and they're case packed, there's hardly any chance of them being damaged. And very rarely do they come damaged through standard ground mail if they're shipping that way.
Okay. So you're getting the products for the most part shipped directly to you. Are there any situations where you utilize a prep center? Dan and Eric of the Wholesale Formula, I just got back from their office and, they're doing, I don't know, millions per year wholesale. Their model's a little different than yours. But they're utilizing prep centers. Are you always touching the products, or are you planning on using prep centers in the future?
So the current situation I have with one of my better wholesalers was I mentioned earlier that during Q4, right before Black Friday, I visited his warehouse. So huge place. He let me pick out whatever I wanted, made a bunch of good deals. He told me that from now on, if I want to have something directly shipped to Amazon, he'll just charge me a flat rate per case. So he says like 50 cents each case to just ship it out for you, and you just pay the shipping and send me the shipping labels to Amazon. Yeah, and then plus cool. That he told me that if I do a buyout on a certain item, he won't charge me storage for a few months. So it works out for both of us.
That's great. So, all in all, are you happy with your move to wholesale? Because I know a lot of people, Jerry, that are watching right now, they're thrifting, they're hitting garage sales, flea markets. I know some of them are doing RA and OA. How do you feel now about making the transition to wholesale? Do you see yourself going back? The honest truth, do you see yourself maybe going back to thrifting, or do you want to continue to scale wholesale? Really, now that you have a taste, sorry, I just smacked the microphone. Now that you have a taste of both sides, you know, from the thrifting, RA, OA side to like the wholesale, what are your thoughts, man?
All right, so thrifting and RA, they're fun, but they don't yield as much success as I've had with wholesale recently. Because RA, there's more competition getting in, market saturation, just making any good item that's on a sale. So you'll see this video game, instead of being $50, it's $20 at Target this week. You're like, oh, I'll make $10. It looks nice. By the time it gets to the fulfillment center at Amazon, it's already at break even or a loss. Just because everyone's just racing to the bottom and having to reprice price a penny below. So at this point, I really don't do RA as much as I used to. I'm just depending more on my wholesale buyouts to provide the income that I have right now.
Very cool, man. Very cool. And what advice would you give to people right now who want to transition over from the thrifting RA model to the wholesale? Is there one big takeaway or maybe one or two things you could share that really helped you to make that transition?
Definitely with thrifting, you can build capital quickly and with a really good margin. And then from there, just start attending trade shows, get an eye out for what these people are selling, how the processes go. You don't have to make money on your first order, just get the experience on you, because failure is always the best teacher. My first wholesale order, I ended up losing like $500, but I learned how the process goes, and from there, I've just been having good success from there.
That's so cool, brother. It's been awesome hearing your story. And he's 20 years old, right? 20 years old. So very inspiring. And I want to say right now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out Jerry's Facebook. If you have any questions for him, or you want some one-on-one time consultation, he does help sellers as well. So I will link his Facebook information down below in the description. Also, if you guys have been following my channel, Dan and Eric of the Wholesale Formula, they have a free workshop that actually started the 11th. So if you want to get into that, you can go to raikenprofit.com/free workshop to join that. It's a 5-day online workshop, which will talk to you about their business model. Now, their business model is a little different than Jerry's, but it's been cool hearing your story, because there's always people out there who say there's only one way to do it. There's only one way to private label. There's only one way to thrift. There's only one way to wholesale. That's not true at all. You know, I think based upon our capital situation, our goals, our risk tolerance, and if you guys haven't been able to notice, I've learned this quite quick about Jerry. Jerry has a very high threshold of risk. What did you say? That's true?
Yeah, I have the space, money, and time to risk it all. So I don't mind holding an item for 1 or 2 years.
I love it, man. What's your next move? What's the future of wholesale for you? What's the future of, we had talked a while ago about real estate and whatnot. What's going to be coming? I'm just curious. What's going to be coming around the corner for you, Jerry?
Definitely need to get into real estate. You just buy a couple of warehouses and commercial properties. But down here in South Florida, pricing ain't the cheapest. So I still have to build some capital to get started on that.
Very cool, man. Final words of wisdom for the people before we head out. Final tips for the folks who want to make that transition, who want to start wholesale, but maybe they're just nervous. They're on the fence. They might have some limiting beliefs. I'm not smart enough. I don't know if I can do this.
All right, go out there, risk it, get out of your comfort zone. Don't be worried about failure. Failure is the best teacher. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Money's to be made out there. Go and get it.
I love it. I love it. So if you guys have any more questions, again, Jerry's information will be down below. If you want to hit him up, ask him a question, work together. Again, the free workshop is down below as well. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Jerry, appreciate you coming on, brother. And I'm so excited.
Thanks for having me on.
So excited to see what the future has in store for you, because I've personally known you for, what has it been, 4 years now or so?
Yeah, I'm about to enter my fifth year of selling online.
Jeez, man, it's just been really cool watching. You were what, 15? What, 15? No, 15 or 16 when you started.
Yeah, 15 or 16 when I started. So
it's just so inspiring.
A fun ride.
Do you have any other friends who are doing this? Did you inspire any of your friends, or?
I have a friend that's a photographer full time, but his model is very different than what any of us do.
Yeah. Well, it's cool, man. Keep up the great work. I appreciate you coming on, brother, and enjoy sunny Florida. Maybe I'll see you in Miami soon.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Take care, everybody.